What's up guys, this is Astranox. It's time for the showcase of Lionheart Cermia in World Arena. So this hero with the build that I have is able to do a lot of damage. So I really like that, and I switch her artifact. She's now on the Unity Guild War artifact, so more damage, and she's got some hit chance, so that's pretty solid. Got some memory imprints on her. The gear that I have, the sets that I have on her, counter immunity. I want the enemy to go first. This is going to be a turn 2 team that I'm running. So I'm taking a bunch of damage, surviving whatever they're throwing at me, getting out of their control, and then I retaliate, right? So she needs to survive until she can drop that huge amount of damage against the enemy. And the cool thing is that in her kit, she's got self-defense buff, effect resistance buff. Yes, the enemy does have to trigger a dual attack, extra attack, counter attack against your team. But to be honest, there's most of the time going to be a hero on their team that will have one of these things happen. Worst case scenario, you might have to rely on a random dual attack happening. But I've been pretty lucky while using her, and I was able to get her passive to trigger pretty consistently, right? Because I've been fighting meta heroes, meta teams. Now, the thing you have to know is that in World Arena, when I was picking her, she was literally getting banned way more than 50% of the time, guys. Like, she was getting banned, I would say maybe 70% of the time. And there's quite a few games that I was like, you know what, I'm just trying to film footage for my girl Lionheart Cermia. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just leave the game. So I've done that quite a few times just to get the footage that I needed to make this video. So I got opponents, you know, a master, challenger. I fought some champion players, and you know, I got her, you know, banned a bunch of times, so that was unfortunate. But there's some other games where, you know, her skill 2 didn't trigger, right? Or they just outright took her out of the equation. They just deleted her. They just focused all their attention onto her, and they downed her. So, you know, that was unfortunate. It really was. And the issue with the build that like, you can see the damage. Like, it's really high up there, and I'm able to survive. I mean, not quite well. You can see that my team is badly injured. So I really don't like that, but it's because I didn't opt for a team with like a Soul Weaver or 2 Soul Weavers. You know, I opted for a team with multiple damage dealers because I want the games to be fairly fast. I don't want like a stall fest, something that is lasting 5 minutes up, like a frenzy battle with 1 damage dealer. No, I mean, that I've done that. I've picked, you know, 2 damage dealers in quite a few games, and Lionheart Cermia was getting banned in so many of these games. I just decided to go with more damage dealers, more bruisers. So, yeah, these might not be the most optimal teams. During picking phase, you know, I decided to go with maybe not the most optimal teams. But here comes the combo that I really like. It's Troublemaker Crozet with Lionheart Cermia. He is able to protect her very well with 40% of the damage that she takes redirected upon Troublemaker Crozet. Real cool. He can stun a bunch of times, can cleanse debuff, put defense buff on her. Maybe the S2 doesn't trigger, something like that. Push the combat readiness or heal himself depending on which exclusive equipment you are wearing. But I feel like her health should be higher than what I have her at, and I've talked about that in the past, right? What is it, like around 13,000 health? It is not high enough. I would feel way more comfortable if I had something like 15,000 health. So if I had better substats, if I had to sacrifice something, maybe drop some defense. My gear, I mean, the gear it's pretty good that I have on her, right? So yeah, I like her on counter immunity, but you could definitely go with a different 2-piece depending on what type of team you're running, especially with the S2 removing all debuffs from herself. The issue that I have is that she might get she might get crippled with a bunch of debuffs. The S2 doesn't trigger, or the S2 triggers, clears the debuffs, but then like they land more debuffs on her before she actually goes, and then when it's time for her to go, she's crippled, just having an immunity set on a turn 2 team, it's pretty solid, right? So yeah, there's going to be other 2 pieces that you can put on her. I mean, you could have crit chance, you could have, you know, defense, could have resist on having her on maybe a high effect resistance build. You know, F-res pretty solid. She already had, look at the damage. Like, these teams, like some of the teams, they don't have much damage mitigation. They don't have Aureus, you know, admin shield, stuff like that to stay. But I really like the double tap of Arbiter Vildred. That definitely feels good. And the damage is there because I went with double defense percentage main stat, you know, ring and boots. And of course I had to go with, I mean, I went with a crit chance necklace main stat. I mean, it could have been a crit damage main stat if I had a bunch of crit chance throughout like my substats, but I didn't have that gear set. I think I do have it. It's just on other heroes, other bruisers on the account. So yeah, there's a lot of different combinations I tried, but the footage seems to be running not similar teams, but I had a variety of different like heroes in my team compositions, but I wish I had a higher variety. It's just that the enemy was picking some of the heroes that I wanted or something like that, or the heroes might not have worked in that against the enemy. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of combos. She can fit right in there with a lot of different other heroes. I feel like, you know, in a bruiser turn 2 team or bruiser with like, I mean, you could have like more speed than what I'm running. You don't have to necessarily be running like a bunch of counter sets throughout your team, but I've been enjoying that. It's been working fine for me as a free-to-play player. I don't have to like worry about like perfect gear and insane speed and all that. And to be honest, like I've been recommending players to, you know, maybe go for Banshee and getting counter sets because it's not as rough as getting like speed, you know, to roll multiple times into speed and getting a high value of that. It's pretty rough. A lot of gear gets ruined because of that, or you might be chasing speed and it just goes terribly wrong. You guys know what I mean. Anyways, so back to kind of build. Look at the damage. Like it's solid. I really like the animation, like the way she does it, and then like all the damage, like the numbers showing up. It's just, the scene is just sort of like meant for it, and you just like, it just slashes and all the numbers are happening, and it's like, if you check the health bar of like their whole team, it goes in 2 parts, right? Like there's that initial part, and then sometimes it's like hitting real hard, and you can see like the green going into red, and it's chunking them, right? And then there's a following, like there's the second part of damage that happens, and then like, you know, like almost the whole team's health is gone. It really feels good. To be honest, like I wish she had more, you know, more speed, but then the problem is she won't have the fighting spirit if the enemy doesn't have time to get like a dual attack, extra attack, counter attack to happen. So that's why I prefer to have her slow. But yes, initially she does get some fighting spirit. I believe it's 40, that's it. When she triggers the shine from the S2, she gets 50 fighting spirit. So that's 90, and you need 80 to use the skill number 3. But if you have her too fast, then you're gonna have 40 at the start of the battle, and then you need to build 40 more, so 2 times the, you know, skill 1. So that's yeah, it's kind of weird because like you want to open with the skill number 3 because it's such a devastating skill, because it gives her an extra turn. Skill 3 into skill 1 is so powerful, it's ridiculous. Imagine if I was able to do it earlier. Now, if I was pushing her combat Ernest with, let's say, like Troublemaker Crozet with his exclusive equipment that pushes combat Ernest, or Emilia, let's say, right? The problem is that that's it. She's not going to have the fighting spirit to open with the skill number 3. But if she did have it, man, like, it'd be so good. That's the thing. Look at that. Like, oh, the initial like damage that she's dealing, it's 2 parts of damage, right? The initial one is not as strong as like the second one. So when you see the first part like dealing quite a bit of damage, you're like, oh man, the second part is gonna hit so hard, it's gonna like wipe them out. And it sort of like happens, and it really feels good when that does happen. So she needs to survive. That's why I like to pair her with like Troublemaker Crozet. But like if you can run a team with like Revive, like a Ruel herself, there's so many different teams. Bring her back to life. I don't know, give her immortality, ML, a cat. Like, just keep her alive or bring her back for her to use the skill 3, and hope she does have the skill 3, man, available, because, yeah, if she doesn't have it, it's gonna be rough. Just make sure your team can keep her alive until she get the combo off, and then, man, things will be happening. So yeah, really happy with her performance, the way I have her build, but there's a lot of builds for her. Let us know what you guys think about all that in the comment section. That's it for this one. I'm Astranox. Good luck with all y'all do. Peace out for now.